Let's get to your top story, and that's President Biden and former President Donald Trump facing off, going at each other as far as the first presidential debate of the election of 2024 is concerned. The debate hosted by CNN is the first time that both the candidates have, seen each other faced off as far as that debate is concerned on a stage since 2020. The candidates kicked off the debate by slamming each other's records on economy, immigration, as well as abortion rights. This is the earliest televised debate that's taken place in the history of U.S. elections. We have Carolyn Malone joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. We heard Trump slam Biden for opening up the borders for terrorists, and Biden there calling, Donald Trump a complete liar. Take us through the key takeaways of the debate.
We absolutely did. Yeah, we absolutely did. We absolutely did hear them debating very strongly about immigration, that being one of the key issues that is engaging voters, particularly on the Republican side. Increasingly, people who vote Republican are concerned about the borders being too open, about too many people being allowed in, about the need for stronger security at the borders. And it's something that both Trump and Biden have engaged in the past, and we've heard them here on that debate stage going back and forth with that. Biden being very clear, though, that he sees that what Trump is saying, and Trump has been saying that criminals are being allowed into the country through the borders, he sees that as not being true. He says that's a lie. He says that Trump is, essentially making up stories about how other countries are opening their jails and allowing people through the US border. Also on the economy, Trump's talked about how he created a stronger US economy when he was last in charge. Biden said that also wasn't true. And in fact, Trump was the president that increased the US debt more than any other president has in their time in office. So strongly disagreeing with that as well. They've also talked about foreign policy, Ukraine being a hot topic. Trump saying that if and when he is in power again, when he becomes president, that he will end the war with Russia, that he's saying that's a war that should never have happened. Biden retorting that Putin, the president of Russia, is a war criminal, and that is not something that is tenable, to have the end of a war with a deal when you're dealing with someone that he sees as being a war criminal. So very contentious issues that they're going back and forth on here. But unlike previous debates, they're not really being able to interrupt each other because CNN is muting the other person when they're not being asked to answer a question. So there has been a bit more of a calmer type of mood on the stage so far. One downside, though, for Biden is, he appeared to struggle in the beginning of the debate and even lost his train of thought about 12 minutes in when he was talking about the economy, which, clearly is not a good look, especially when a lot of voters are looking to see if Biden is still able enough, if he still has enough mental agility as an 80-plus-year-old to be the president of the country again. Trump is a few years younger, but doesn't seem to be having that same kind of attention over his mental ability. So certainly that will count against him. But also Biden seems to be doing a good job of fact-checking Trump as well. So giving each other kind of a bit of back and forth on these hot topic debates. One question they had just recently in the last few moments was about climate change. Trump avoided the question really altogether and started talking about social justice and about the police reform and about how Biden hasn't done a good job for black voters. Black voters are a key part of the demographic that either side would need to win in order to get into office again. He did eventually get to climate change, but one of the big controversies that Trump has faced in the last few months has been that he held a meeting with energy executives, and after that it was alleged that he made some kind of deal with them, basically to help them if he gets back in office with tax breaks. That's a bit ambiguous to see. There's some probes going on to see actually what happened in that debate. Of course, Trump also now a convicted felon. He was found guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Of course, Biden brought that up in the debate so far, saying that he's a felon. Trump retorted and said, well, your son, Hunter Biden, is also a felon. So, hitting each other hard with those very direct allegations as well so far.
Right. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for joining us with all those deep details. Switching tracks now to the United Kingdom, that's holding a general election on the 4th of July. A nationwide vote called by outgoing Prime Minister of Indian origin Rishi Sunak will lead to the formation of a new government. During the summer months, even as the United Kingdom is witnessing a mini heat wave, the heat of local politics can be felt on the streets of many constituencies. As NDTV's Radhika Iyer finds out, one such a high-profile constituency is Harrow East in North London, with over 45% British Indian voters there. Let's get you a ground report.
It's either Jai Shri Moran, Jai Shri Krishna.
This is a wonderful carrot chai at one of our local shops.
Affluent houses behind tall hedges, a haven for Indian food, and a constituency which has over 45% British Indian votes. This is Harrow East, a highly watched constituency. Come with me, Radhika Iyer, to meet with the candidates of this highly watched constituency ahead of the UK general election. But before that, two quick facts. The British Indian community is the largest ethnic minority group in the UK. The second, that the British Indian community has an employment rate of over 70%, which means a highly tax-contributing community as well as one that's politically extremely aware. Bob Blackman, aka Bob Bhai, is running for the 4th term as MP from Harrow East in North London. The Conservative leader was conferred a Padma Shri by the Indian government for his speech in the British Parliament supporting India's BJP government's stance on the contentious Kashmir issue. He is a friend of Narendra Modi and by that measure voted for by many British Hindus in this constituency. He has been undefeated since 2010. Bob Blackman's boss and leader of the Conservative Party, Rishi Sunak, the first Indian origin Prime Minister of Britain, visited a temple in the local area, spoke in Hindi to locals and did the mandatory selfies.
I have my Ruckies on. I'm regularly...
From your sisters in the constituency?
Yeah, I have a lot of sisters in the constituency. They call me Bob Baikara. And equally, they also look at me as an honorary Hindu. So, as you'll see, if you come to any of the doorsteps here, you'll see people that say to me, we vote for you, we trust you, because we know you stand up for us in Parliament.
Are you winning, Bob?
Yes, we are winning. Unfortunately, the opinion poll's not great for us as a party in the country, but the data we've got demonstrates that we are on the cusp of winning.
Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party and the leader of the opposition, has recently reversed his stance on the contentious Kashmir issue. This constituency of Harrow East has the highest density of Gujaratis in Britain. I spoke to many families who are shy of sharing their political views publicly. Typically, in the 1970s and the 80s, British Indians, after allegedly facing racism, have traditionally voted for the Labour Party. But that trend changed. In fact, in Harrow East, this constituency has been a bellwether, usually voting for the party that's likely to win. So will that trend continue this election? The Labour Party has fielded a local candidate, a Gujarati, a Patel. Meet Primesh Patel, fighting a general election for the first time after an 18-year stint in health and social care sectors, including the National Health Service of Britain. Primesh's ancestors hail from Navsari in Gujarat and migrated from East Africa to the UK. This candidate is hoping that his offer of change via the Labour Party, which according to exit polls has the edge this election, will be voted for.
I'm very proud to be a British Indian, of course I am. I'm very proud of my Gujarati heritage, my Hindu faith, and what we offer is real change and a party that is ready to serve the country, and crucially, the party that is the party of aspiration, making work pay, getting on in life, things which are very important to many people in Harrow East. Now yes, I've got many years of experience, almost 2 decades in the health service and the health and social care service, and that is very important because I've at the coalface, I've understood the absolute decimation that the current Conservative government have unleashed on our public services, particularly our health service.
With so many Indian origin people in this area running vibrant businesses, this region is called the Borough of Entrepreneurship and Aspiration. The UK votes on the 4th of July, and by the early hours of the 5th of July, the counting will be concluded. Radhika Iyer in London, NDTV.
Switching tracks now, India has issued advisory for Lebanon in the wake of rising tensions between Israel and Lebanon. And this is with India issuing a travel advisory with a stern travel message urging their citizens to exercise caution and reconsider travel plans to the Middle Eastern nation. The Indian embassy in Lebanon has advised all Indian nationals to remain vigilant and maintain communication with the embassy. And it's not just India, but it's also the United States, Germany, Netherlands, Canada, North Macedonia, as well as Kuwait that have advised its nationals to leave Lebanon, fearing a full-blown war between Israel and Lebanon. And with that, we're sitting to a very short break. Back with a whole lot more. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Let's get you news from Iran that goes to post today. Iranians will vote for a new president following Ibrahim Raisi's death in a helicopter crash, choosing from a tightly controlled group of 4 candidates loyal to the supreme leader at a time of growing public frustration. While the election is unlikely to bring a major shift in the Islamic Republic's policies, the outcome could influence the succession to Khamenei, Iran's 85-year-old supreme leader in power for 3.5 decades. He has called for a maximum turnout to offset a legitimacy crisis fueled by public discontent over economic hardship and curbs on political and social freedoms. Switching tracks to China now, and China's ex-defense minister Li Shangfu has been charged with graft. The ruling Communist Party, headed by President Xi Jinping, has expelled the former defense minister for alleged corruption and launched a prosecution proceedings against him. The Communist Party of China's leadership on Thursday decided to expel the 66-year-old for serious violation of party discipline and the law. Now, Li, who headed the People's Liberation Army's all-important rocket and missile force and was personally picked up for the top defense post by Xi Jinping himself, went missing last year, sparking speculation that he was being investigated for corruption and indiscipline. Li is among dozens of top PLA generals who have been sacked or punished for corruption since Xi Jinping assumed power in 2012.